If you haven't listened to the previous part of this chapter, please stop this video and go back to the list. There you will hear about the story of the four rabbis, and you will also hear the interpretation of the story by Clarissa Pinkola-Estés. And she starts talking about what Mother Death, Mother Life can show us through La que sabe, through the old woman. So let's continue with the last part of chapter 1. Imagine the old woman as the quintessential 2-million-year-old woman. She's the original wild woman who lives beneath and yet on the top side of the earth. She lives in and through us, and we are surrounded by her. The deserts, the woodlands, and the earth under our houses are 2 million years old, and then some. I'm always taken by how deeply women like to dig in the earth. They plant bulbs for the spring. They poke blackened fingers into mucky soil, transplanting sharp-smelling tomato plants. I think they are digging down to the 2-million-year-old woman. They are looking for her toes and her paws. They want her for a present to themselves, for with her they feel of a peace and at peace. Without her, they feel restless. Many women I've worked with over the years began their first session with some variation of, "Well, I don't feel bad, but I don't feel good either." I think that condition is not a great mystery. We know it comes from not enough mac. The cure? La loba. Find the 2-million-year-old woman. She's caretaker of the dead and dying of woman things. She's the road between the living and the dead. She sings the creation hymns over the bones. The old woman, wild woman, is la voz mitológica. She's the mythical voice who knows the past and our ancient history and keeps it recorded for us in stories. Sometimes we dream her as a disembodied but beautiful voice. As the hag maiden, she shows us what it means to be, not withered but wizened. Babies are born wizened with instinct. They know in their bones what is right and what to do about it. It is innate. If a woman holds on to this gift of being old while she is young and young while she is old, she will always know what comes next. If she has lost it, she can yet reclaim it with some purposeful psychic work. La loba, the old one in the desert, is a collector of bones. In archetypal symbology, bones represent the indestructible force. They do not lend themselves to easy reduction. They are by their structure hard to burn, nearly impossible to pulverize. In myth and story, they represent the indestructible soul spirit. We know the soul spirit can be injured, even maimed, but it is very nearly impossible to kill. You can dent the soul and bend it. You can hurt it and scar it. You can leave the marks of illness upon it and the scorch marks of fear, but it does not die, for it is protected by La Loba in the underworld. She is both the finder and the incubator of the bones. Bones are heavy enough to hurt with, sharp enough to cut through flesh, and when old and if strong, tinkle like glass. The bones of the living are alive and creatural in themselves. They constantly renew themselves. A living bone has a curiously soft skin to it. It appears to have certain powers to regenerate itself. Even as a dry bone, it becomes home for small living creatures. The wolf bones in this story represent the indestructible aspect of the wild self, the instinctual nature, the criatura dedicated to freedom and the unspoiled, that which will never accept the rigors and requirements of a dead or overly civilizing culture. The metaphors in this story typify the entire process for bringing a woman to her full instinctual wildish senses. Within us is the old one who collects bones. Within us there are the soul bones of the wild self. Within us is the potential to be fleshed out again as the creature we once were. Within us are the bones to change ourselves and our world. Within us is the breath and our truth and our longings. Together they are the song, the creation hymn we haven't been yearning to sing. This does not mean we should walk about with our hair hanging in our eyes or with black ringed claws for fingernails. Yes, we remain human, but also within the human woman is the animal instinctual self. This is not some romantic cartoon character. It has real teeth, a true snarl, huge generosity, unsquealed hearing, sharp claws, generous and furry breast. This self must have freedom to move, to speak, to be angry, and to create. This self is durable, resilient, and possesses high intuition. It is a self which is knowledgeable in the spiritual dealings of death and birth. Today, the old one inside you is collecting bones. What is she remaking? She's the soul self, the builder of the soul home. Ella lo hace a mano. She makes and remakes the soul by hand. What is she making for you? Even in the best of worlds, the soul needs refurbishing from time to time. Just like the adobes here in the southwest, a little peels, a little falls down, a little washes away. There is always an old round woman with bedroom slipper feet who is patting mud slurry on the adobe walls. She mixes straw and water and earth and pats it back on the walls, making them fine again. Without her, the house will lose its shape. Without her, it will wash down into a lump after a hard rain. She is the keeper of the soul. Without her, we lose our shape. Without an open supply line to her, humans are said to be soulless or damned souls. She gives shape to the soul house and makes more house by hand. She's the one in the old apron. She's the one whose dress is longer in the front than in the back. She's the one who pata-pata-pats. She's the soul maker, the wolf raiser, the keeper of things wild. So I say to you with affection, be you, a black wolf, a northern grey, a southern red, or an Arctic white. You are the quintessential instinctual creatura. Although some might really prefer you behave yourself and not climb all over the furniture in joy, all over people in welcome, do it anyway. Some will draw back from you in fear or disgust. Your lover, however, will cherish this new aspect of you, if he or she be the right lover for you. Some people will not like it if you take a sniff at everything to see what it is. And for heaven's sakes, no lying on your back with your feet up in the air. Bad girl, bad wolf, bad dog, right? Wrong. Go ahead. Enjoy yourself. People do meditation to find psychic alignment. That's why people do psychotherapy and analysis. That's why people analyze their dreams and make art. That is why some contemplate tarot cards, cast I Ching, dance, drum, make theater, pry out the poem, and fire up their prayers. That's why we do all the things we do. It is the work of gathering all the bones together. Then we must sit at the fire and think about which song we will use to sing over the bones, which creation hymn, which recreation hymn, and the truth we tell will make the song. These are some good questions to ask till one decides on the song, one's true song. What has happened to my soul voice? What are the buried bones of my life? In what condition is my relationship to the instinctual self? When was the last time I ran free? How do I make life come alive again? Where has La Loba gone to? The old woman sings over the bones, and as she sings, the bones flesh out. We too become as we pour soul over the bones we have found, as we pour our yearning and our heartbreaks over the bones of what we used to be when we were young, of what we used to know in the centuries past, and over the quickening we sense in the future. We stand on all fours, four square. As we pour soul, we are revivified. We are no longer a thin solution, a dissolving frail thing. No, we are in the becoming stage of transformation. Like the dry bones, we so often start out in a desert. We feel disfranchised, alienated, not connected to even a cactus clump. The ancients called the desert the place of divine revelation, But for women there is much more to it than that. A desert is a place where life is very condensed. The roots of living things hold on to that last tear of water, and the flower holds its moisture by only appearing in early morning and late afternoon. Life in the desert is small but brilliant, and most of what occurs goes on underground. This is like the lives of many women. The desert is not lush like a forest or jungle. It is very intense and mysterious in its life forms. Many of us have lived desert lives, very small on the surface and enormous under the ground. La Loba shows us the precious things that can come from that sort of psychic distribution. A woman's psyche may have found its way to the desert out of resonance, or because of past cruelties, or because she was not allowed a larger life above ground. So often a woman feels then that she lives in an empty place where there is maybe just one cactus with one brilliant red flower on it, and then in every direction 500 miles of nothing. But for the woman who will go 501 miles there is something more, a small brave house, an old one. She has been waiting for you. Some women don't want to be in the psychic desert. They hate the frailty, the spareness of it. They keep trying to crank a rusty jalopy and bump their way down the road to a fantasized shining city of the psyche. But they are disappointed, for the lush and the wild is not there. It is in the spirit world, that world between worlds, rio abajo, rio, that river beneath the river. Don't be a fool. Go back and stand under that one red flower, and walk straight ahead for the last hard mile. Go up and knock on the old weathered door. Climb up to the cave. Crawl through the window of a dream. Sift the desert and see what you find. It is the only work we have to do. You wish psychoanalytic advice? Go gather bones.